Hello, and welcome to Exalt X Audio Articles podcast. In this episode, we're delving into a long-standing debate that's crucial for anyone in a physically demanding profession. Should strength or endurance take precedence in training? When it comes to tactical roles, the physical demands are extensive. The truth is that operators require a broad spectrum of abilities. Some believe strength is paramount, while others contend that endurance is the key. But here's the million-dollar question. Which should you focus on more? Should your training revolve around building raw strength, or should you push for cardiovascular endurance to last longer in the field? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about biomotor abilities. These are the core physical qualities that drive performance in nearly any task. They encompass everything from your strength to your capacity to sustain effort. Experts agree that there are 5 main biomotor abilities. Strength, which represents how much force you can generate. Speed, which is how fast you can move. Endurance, which is how long you can continue without burning out. Flexibility, which is how far you can move your joints. And coordination, which is how smoothly and efficiently your body works as a whole. These abilities don't work in isolation. They interact with one another, contributing to overall physical performance. So, let's focus on the 2 we're concentrating on today: strength and endurance. Let's begin with strength. This is the ability to generate force. Strength is crucial in everything, from lifting heavy equipment to simply standing up or carrying someone to safety. It manifests in several forms, such as maximal strength, explosive strength, and strength endurance. Understanding strength isn't just about how much you can lift, it's about how your body activates muscles and coordinates movements. To grasp this, it's important to understand the concepts of intramuscular coordination and intermuscular coordination. Intramuscular coordination refers to the coordination within individual muscle fibers to produce force when necessary. On the other hand, intermuscular coordination refers to the coordination between multiple muscles and how they work together to generate force. While both processes aim to achieve the same goal, producing force, they operate at different levels. Now let's discuss endurance. And no, we're not just talking about running marathons here. Endurance comes in 2 primary forms: muscular endurance and cardiovascular endurance. This ability is essential because it involves how long your muscles can resist fatigue and how efficiently your heart, lungs, and circulatory system deliver oxygen to your muscles during prolonged physical activity. It is vital when pushing through extended periods of intense effort, whether it's carrying heavy gear, marching, or navigating difficult terrain. When we speak of endurance, we're not just talking about the ability to run long distances. It's about how your body adapts to handle sustained efforts over time, with improved efficiency, quicker recovery, and better overall performance. So, now that we've explored strength and endurance separately, let's look at the role they play in tactical situations. We know that strength is absolutely foundational. Consider the physical tasks involved in a tactical role, such as lifting, carrying, breaching doors, or subduing suspects. These all require significant strength. But here's the twist. Strength doesn't just enhance your performance, it can also prevent injuries. Stronger muscles and tendons absorb more shock and handle intense sudden movements, which is a game changer in high-pressure scenarios. And what about endurance? If you're going to sustain long, physically demanding operations, whether carrying heavy equipment or dragging a casualty, cardiovascular fitness is your best ally. It enables you to maintain high performance, recover faster between efforts, and even keep your mind sharp when fatigue sets in. But here's the big challenge. How do we balance strength and endurance in training? This is where the concept of concurrent training comes in. It's all about combining both resistance training and endurance training in the same training period. Sounds great, doesn't it? But there's a catch: the interference effect. This effect refers to the phenomenon where physiological mechanisms impair the gains from training. In other words, it disrupts your body's ability to fully adapt to both stimuli. The interference effect is more evident when endurance and strength training are performed with short rest periods, such as on the same day. Essentially, doing too much of one type of exercise can sometimes hinder progress in the other. For example, if you do endurance training before strength training on the same day, fatigue can impair your muscle recruitment, making it more difficult to build strength. Furthermore, endurance training predominantly activates pathways like the activated protein kinase, or AMPK pathway, which promotes mitochondrial biogenesis and aerobic capacity. In contrast, strength training primarily activates the mammalian target of rapamycin, or mTOR pathway, which supports protein synthesis and muscle hypertrophy. Importantly, AMPK activation can inhibit mTOR signaling, thereby reducing muscle protein synthesis and strength adaptations. So, how can you work around that? The key is to be smart about your training. A multifaceted approach is required to mitigate the negative effects of concurrent training. Key strategies include designing programs with temporal separation and ensuring that endurance and resistance training sessions are performed at least 6 to 8 hours apart or on separate days. Prioritization should be implemented by emphasizing the quality most relevant to an individual's goals within specific training blocks. Periodization is another crucial element, involving the structuring of training into distinct phases that focus on either endurance or strength to optimize adaptations while minimizing chronic interference. Another important point is exercise selection, which plays a significant role in minimizing the interference effect. A key consideration is avoiding high-impact or excessively fatiguing endurance activities. For example, long runs performed on the same day, either before or after strength training, can potentiate the interference effect on strength adaptations. Therefore, incorporating high-intensity, low-volume endurance exercises, such as maximum and supra-maximum high-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, or sprint interval training, also known as SIT, can help limit AMPK activation and reduce the interference effect. Proper nutrition is also essential, including adequate protein intake and carbohydrate replenishment to support recovery and adaptation across training modalities. Finally, recovery strategies, such as optimizing sleep, maintaining proper hydration, and incorporating active recovery techniques, are fundamental for reducing fatigue and enhancing overall adaptation. Therefore, the key takeaways of concurrent training are as follows. First, concurrent training can improve strength, hypertrophy, and power compared to endurance training alone, albeit not as effectively as resistance training alone. However, aerobic capacity improvements are comparable to those achieved with endurance training when well designed. Secondly, resistance training combined with running often results in greater interference in strength and hypertrophy gains compared to cycling, likely due to the eccentric nature of running, which induces more muscle damage than cycling's concentric activity. Next, it is important to understand that a higher frequency and longer duration of endurance training can negatively impact strength, power, and hypertrophy gains. Incorporating HIIT or SIT as endurance sessions and scheduling resistance and endurance training on separate days can slightly reduce interference compared to same-day sessions. Lastly, we need to know that to maximize resistance training adaptations for muscle mass, resistance exercises should be performed before endurance exercises. On the other hand, to maximize endurance training outcomes, or when resistance training adaptations are of lower priority, endurance exercises should be performed before resistance exercises. In fact, concurrent training has been shown to produce the most significant reductions in body fat, particularly when high-intensity endurance exercises are included, but power output is more adversely affected by concurrent training than strength or hypertrophy, possibly due to impairments in the rate of force development or movement velocity. After all this information, I know what you're thinking. How can I apply this in a tactical context? The key challenge in tactical training settings is aligning this approach with the unpredictable nature of operational contexts. In tactical professions, duty often takes precedence over sleep, nutrition, and other factors, requiring an approach that is both flexible and adaptable in concurrent training applications. As so, let's talk about temporal separation. Tactical operators often deal with unpredictable schedules, making it tough to plan consistent training. To work around this, prioritize mission-critical tasks and aim to schedule your physical training during periods of low operational intensity. And when time is really tight, don't skip your workout entirely. Instead, incorporate short, focused training sessions that maximize effectiveness without requiring a large time commitment. Conducting a comprehensive needs analysis is crucial for prioritization in training blocks. Consider your mission demands. For instance, strength is essential for tasks like handling heavy equipment, while endurance is critical for sustained operations. During specific training phases, prioritize developing the most mission-critical attributes, but don't neglect others entirely. Use maintenance doses to preserve baseline proficiency across the board. This ensures that you're always prepared for immediate mission demands. Another effective strategy is using undulating periodization, which allows you to shift between endurance and strength training without causing long-term disruptions to your progress. When designing training programs, it is crucial that they are adaptable and can be modified based on time constraints and available equipment. This ensures flexibility without compromising readiness. A good example of adaptability when planning your strength training is the 3-to-5 method, popularized by Pavel Tsatsouline. Here's how it works. Perform 3 to 5 reps per set, complete 3 to 5 sets per exercise, and aim for 3 to 5 sessions per week. Pair this with compound multi-joint movements for maximum efficiency and functionality. This method, combined with a split routine, supports strength development while minimizing excessive fatigue. For cardiorespiratory fitness, HIIT protocols are fantastic alternatives to traditional long, slow-distance sessions. Depending on your time and goals, you can choose from HIIT long, HIIT short, or SIT methods. For example, an example of HIIT long could involve 4 to 6 intervals of 4-minute sub-maximal runs, each followed by 2 minutes of active rest. HIIT short could, for example, consist of 12 to 15 intervals of 15-second maximal runs, with 15 seconds of active rest in between. SIT, or supermaximal interval training, could consist of 5 to 8 intervals of 30-second sprints, each followed by 3 to 4 minutes of rest. No matter the protocol, it's critical to monitor your intensity. Tools like heart rate monitors, maximum aerobic speed calculations, or even perceived exertion scales can ensure you're training at the right level to maximize adaptations. When selecting exercises, focus on functional movements that directly translate to real-world tasks. Lifting heavy objects from the ground or carrying a person are just some examples of the many multi-joint exercises requiring a high capacity to produce strength in a non-controlled environment. This type of exercise demands not only high intramuscular coordination, but also significant intermuscular coordination. Therefore, isolated strength exercises, which involve movement at a single joint, should only supplement the primary training program. Strength training machines, while providing stability and targeting specific muscles, create a safer environment, which is useful for individuals recovering from injuries, for bodybuilders, or for other specific purposes. However, they cannot enhance intermuscular coordination, which is crucial for functional transfer to daily activities, tactical situations, or even sports contexts. Thus, these machines should not be the primary training tool for injury-free tactical personnel. Nutrition is another key pillar of readiness. Irregular schedules often lead to poor eating habits. but weekly meal planning and preparation can help you stay on track. When you're on the go, prioritize lightweight, nutrient-dense options to avoid relying on fast food. Remember, optimal nutrition helps minimize the interference effect between strength and endurance training, so don't overlook its importance. Recovery is just as important as training, but it often gets sidelined due to demanding schedules. Incorporate active recovery techniques like stretching and mobility work. They are efficient, accessible, and can be performed in limited spaces. Mindfulness and stress management practices help mitigate both psychological and physiological stress, supporting overall recovery. If you have access to wearables, use them to monitor key recovery metrics such as heart rate variability, sleep quality, and fatigue. These insights enable data-driven adjustments to optimize training and performance. These practices do not replace a good night of sleep. However, active recovery strategies can help reduce injury risk and improve long-term adaptation. Finally, let's talk about monitoring and adjustment. Tactical environments are unpredictable, making consistent assessments challenging. To adapt, use subjective wellness ratings, mission readiness assessments, or wearable technology to gauge your physical and mental state. Periodic functional fitness tests are another great way to ensure readiness without risking overtraining or excessive fatigue. Before we finish, let's not forget about other physical abilities and skills. Agility, mobility, and speed are also crucial. While this episode has focused on strength and endurance, a well-rounded tactical training plan integrates all of these. For instance, one effective approach is to integrate the training of these skills within strength or endurance sessions. For example, mobility routines can be included at the beginning of the warm-up. Agility drills can be incorporated at the end of the warm-up. Short sprints can be added to the beginning or conclusion, depending on the session objective, of cardio sessions. Contextual speed can be integrated into strength training circuits, and power can be developed by introducing a multi-joint power exercise at the beginning of the fundamental phase of the strength session. This microdosing approach, when applied consistently over time, can effectively maintain or develop these skills while still prioritizing strength and endurance training. To wrap things up, strength and endurance are both vital for tactical readiness, but finding the right balance requires careful planning and a smart approach to training. Focus on recovery, vary your sessions, and always keep your mission's needs in mind. Whether you're building power or stamina, the right training plan will ensure you're always ready for action. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found this episode interesting, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more in-depth explorations into the world of tactical professions. You can also read this information in full in our written article on our website, exaltex.com, along with other content. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Until then, stay fit, stay strong, and stay ready.